Well, welcome to another episode of Bridges Conversations. My name is Steve Givens. I'm the executive director of the Bridges Foundation in St. Louis. We are an organization that provides the spiritual exercises of St. Ignatius Loyola in everyday life through a 9-month retreat that is beginning just this week with our new and maybe largest class of retreatants ever. About 51 people joining us this year at 4 locations in St. Louis and an online group. So these conversations are meant to introduce you to members of our community and to talk to them about some area specific piece of Ignatian spirituality. So today we are talking with Deacon David Harpring. He has been a prayer companion in our organization. The prayer companions are someone who leads another person through these exercises. He's been doing that for 5 or 6 years. He's also currently the president of our board of directors. So welcome, Dave.
Thank you, Steve. Good to be here.
Good. I'm going to begin as we always do. Could you just tell us a little bit about you and your background, your family, what brought you to St. Louis?
Okay, well, I was born in southeastern Indiana, lived in a rural setting, on a little farm, and decided when I graduated from high school to go to college and get an engineering degree. So I went to Purdue University there in Indiana, and it was because of that I found my way to St. Louis in the cooperative engineering program. I was working for McDonnell Douglas. So every other semester I would either be in school or working in industry. I did that for about 3 years, got a job offer from them when I graduated, and the rest is history. Here I am. So I've been here since graduation, since 1975, and then of course several portions of years before that. So,
and where was it that you first kind of learned about the spiritual exercises, and then what was your actual first experience with them?
Let's say, of course, I've always heard about them, and or in readings or talks or whatever, but my real exposure was in a class that I took at Aquinas Institute of Theology over a summer, and my wife was there as well. And in the course of that class, which was on retreats, several people in the class would always talk about the spiritual exercises, which got Vicky's interest and then my interest. And so we went to one of the introductory sessions that summer, and I signed up. My oldest daughter signed up that summer, and Vicky had to wait a couple of years because she was in grad school at the time. But that's how I heard about the exercises. And
so your first experience with them was through Bridges and through this,
right.
what's known as the 19th annotation
Correct.
version, where you do these exercises over a longer period of time.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you?
Oh, it was very revelatory, I would say. I was fortunate enough to actually have a Jesuit as my prayer companion, so that that was nice. But it just kind of opened up a whole brand new world for me, and learning more about Jesus, my relationship to him, and getting just to know, the people in the program are vast wisdom community that keeps my appetite whet, and can share a lot of insights with me, and it's just a wonderful community that I've found myself into because I did take the exercises.
Yeah. So today we want to talk specifically about one of the approaches to prayer that we learn when we go through the spiritual exercises, which is sometimes called Ignatian prayer or Ignatian imaginative prayer or prayer of the imagination. Can you just talk to us a little bit about what that is? How do we approach that? And maybe one of your experiences with this
Sure.
kind of prayer.
Imaginative prayer is a way to enter into the life of Jesus or the apostles or Paul in Scripture, and of course Old Testament as well. But it allows you to kind of place yourselves in the scene, if you will, of an event. And we'll just take one example is the birth of Jesus. You could pretend that you are one of the shepherds or one of the wise men, or you could pretend to be a friend of Mary or Joseph, or you could think of yourself as being the Nazareth reporter for Nazareth News, and you're observing all this stuff. But you can go in and you're there in the stable. You can imagine what the lighting is like, what the sounds are like, what the animals in the background. Maybe Jesus is a little fussy. You can smell the smells and hear the conversations. So it's kind of a sensory thing as well. You can kind of think about, based on your own experiences of these things, what might be happening. You can imagine yourself that maybe Mary hands you the baby Jesus to hold, and you can hold him for a while. And as we have all, for the most part, been able to hold a newborn or a child and just gaze at it and marvel at it and watch it as it just lays in your hands. You can do that with the baby Jesus as well. So that's just one example.
What do you think so why? I mean, is this just kind of an intellectual exercise? Is it a extension of Bible study? What do you feel like are the real fruits of doing this?
It allows you, I think, to kind of many things, but tap into your own experience of a story or an incident. It there in the Scripture, quite often, the stories we have are pretty short and simple. So there's a lot of stuff that's not said, and you can kind of try to yourself fill in some of those spaces, those gaps, to kind of just think about, okay, now what really what happened right before this? What's going to happen right after it? What's happening during it when Jesus and Peter, James, and John are going up the mountain to what would be the Transfiguration? What did they talk about? What did they experience? And one of the other things is you can bring to it other thoughts, ideas that maybe you read about in a commentary or talked about in a Bible class, or a piece of information that gives you a whole new perspective of what might have happened during that incident.
And I think that the beyond kind of getting a better sense of what's going on in Scripture, this really has the opportunity to kind of become a metaphor for our own lives of prayer and our interactions encounter with Jesus. Is that correct?
That's very true. One of my I'll say earliest practices. One of the things that helps for those of us who preach is it helps us formulate perhaps a homily or give some ideas for a homily. The story in John's gospel of the multiplication of the loaves and fishes, John has a character in there, a youth who is the one who has the loaves and fishes. And so you kind of ask yourself, why is this person the only one who has the loaves and fishes, and why is he a youth, and what is he experiencing? So you kind of, for me, it was like, well, as a youth, I certainly didn't want to stray too far from food. I still don't. And so, but I like to think that maybe he had been sent off by his mom to go get dinner, and he got waylaid as he's coming back from the market, seeing this crowd and this person of Jesus, and then being approached by someone, say, "Hey, I want your food." What's mom going to say when I get home when I don't have any food? But it's a metaphor, because here he is. He has simple things, fish and bread, that are blessed by Jesus and yield abundantly. And I think for me, it got me to think about, well, I kind of have my own little basket of things that are uniquely mine. And if I allow Jesus to bless those, even though they're very simple, the possibilities are endless, because those could yield abundantly in even ways that I can't even imagine. So it kind of brings me into that relationship with faith, with Jesus, and here's where I might fit into the picture of Jesus in the world today.
Yeah. You mentioned, and you are a deacon, which gives you the opportunity to preach on occasion. What do you think this kind of? Well, before I ask this, let me just mention, if we have a few viewers out there right now, if anyone has a question for Dave about this kind of a prayer, please just put it in the comment section on Facebook, and I'll see it here, and we'll be able to ask that. So if you have a question, let us know. What do you think the benefits for you as a deacon? What does this kind of prayer do for you in your ministry to the church and your ministry to other people, whether preaching or sitting across the table from someone, helping them through a problem?
Well, it kind of, just internally brings Jesus into focus, into life. And it then allows, when you're in conversation with others, to maybe be able to say, well, remember when XYZ and Jesus said this or Jesus did that. That's kind of maybe what's going on in your life. You're trying to make the connections between their faith life and the scripture.
So this really is about it's about encountering Jesus in a very, I mean, obviously in a real way, in a way that at least seems very real, and it allows us to kind of come face to face with this person that we know we're supposed to love and we're supposed to trust him. But this is a very kind of a real way to do that.
Yeah, and so you're using your imagination, your experiences, your appropriation of life, of education, of relationships, bringing those all into bear. When one of the things I think about is when you read a novel, let's say, and the novelist is describing a scene or how people are interacting, even though you don't have a picture in front of you, you start mentally thinking about, well, what does that look like? What's going on? They're describing something, but what images come to my mind from my own experiences when they describe that? So it's not unlike what we do almost every day when we're reading a novel or a magazine article or the news. Our minds get engaged with what is with the storyline, and then we start filling in the things that are part of our experience. And that's the same with imaginative prayer. We are filling in, bringing to all of our experiences, our knowledge, our very selves, and that allow us then to make these stories real for us individually, and then we can then, of course, share that with others in our conversations with them.
Yeah. And I think this is, some might say, well, you might imagine the wrong thing, or you might imagine something that's just not true. But this isn't about scriptural accuracy,
Correct.
This is about the Spirit at work in us, right?
Exactly.
And can you maybe give us a story or another example of one of these times and how this experience of prayer worked in you, how the Spirit worked in you?
One incident or a set of incidents that come to mind is in the story of the Annunciation in I think that's Luke, where we have Mary being told she's going to be the mother of Jesus. After Gabriel leaves her, she goes off and visits Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
And when you tie those two pieces together, Mary is full of grace. Jesus, of course, is divinity and humanity rolled up together. John the Baptist leaps in the womb, and Elizabeth is called a very holy woman. So it's sort of like here the four holiest people ever, all in one place together, and just to think about what Mary and Elizabeth were sharing as two women who are pregnant. These John in the womb seems to know what's going on. Jesus is probably just a couple of weeks as a fetus, and he's just kind of developing. So he's there and he's holy. So it's like, what do these women talk about? What do they share? So you can, what Mary says, what Elizabeth says, but she was there for 3 months or 6 months, whatever it was. What else did they share? What was that bond that they had? So you can kind of take that off in a lot of different directions. And
it seems to me, listening to you talk, and I never thought of it exactly this way, I don't think, until right now. But this seems like a very human way to pray. And I guess all prayer is human, of course, but yet, as you said, this is what we do when we read a book. This is what we do when we imagine how circumstances might unfold in our life. We use our imagination to begin to figure out what we should be doing, what decisions we should make, all of which is a part of going through the spiritual exercises too. So it seems like this is a very natural outgrowth of what is already human intellectual activity, but for a very spirit-filled purpose. Does that make sense?
It makes a whole lot of sense, and that's that kind of the beauty of the exercises is that you really do focus on Jesus and the scripture readings that you utilize as you go through all the different weeks. It just brings that relationship with Jesus that much more concrete and much more real.
Yeah.
And it's it's all at the end of the day love, but
Right.
that's what happens. So the
It seems,
exercises really do help
yeah,
those
and
to do that.
I was thinking that, this is, in case people are listening here who or see this later and this is new to them, this is not meant to replace our lives, our sacramental lives, going to church, being with a community of people. It's not meant to replace anything, but it's a wonderful addition and an enrichment of our lives of faith to encounter Jesus in this. Because we encounter Jesus in so many ways. We encounter him through the Eucharist, regardless of your specific denominational place of worship. We encounter Jesus in the poor. We encounter Jesus in the people who are in need. We encounter Jesus in Scripture, and in a very real way here, we encounter Jesus through using our imaginations, our God-given imaginations, to go a little deeper and to see what God might be saying to us.
Right.
Dave, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you're really dying to say about this? And anything you'd like to add in kind of summing up?
The thing that just kind of occurred to me, and this is, I think, as we all kind of think about this, is that Jesus encounters a lot of different people, like you were saying, the poor people who are in need of healing. And it always seems that when he does that, the whole, whatever else he was doing, he just ceases doing that and focuses on that person. And that's one of the things that imaginative prayer allows you to experience, is Jesus will come and focus on you.
Yeah.
And that's a very real blessing and grace from the practice and from the exercises.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for a good 20 or so minutes on this. Our next episode is going to be on Friday, October 8th. And for some of us in our community, I think it'll be a very special episode. I'm going to be in conversation with Father Joe Tetlow. Who's a Jesuit priest, one of the Bridges founding fathers and mothers, so to speak, part of our community for a long time, although he currently lives in Dallas at the Montserrat Retreat House and works with the Ignatian Spirituality Institute there. But I'm going to be online with him, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the origins of Bridges in the St. Louis area, but also about his long work with the spiritual exercises, with his writing. He's I don't know exactly how old Father Joe is now, but he's up near 90, and he's got 2 new books out just in the last couple of years. So this is a guy who doesn't stop. So we're really looking forward to our conversation with him. So please mark your calendars for Friday, October 8th at noon for that. Which I was going to put that up and forgot to do that, but there it is. So Dave Harpring, thank you very much for coming and sharing your story and your thoughts on this today.
Well, thanks for the invitation.
For all of you who might be coming in at the end here, this will be archived for later viewing, both on our Facebook page and on our website, which is www.bridgesfoundation.org. So I think that's it for today. Dave, thank you very much. I'll see you soon, and we'll see you all next time.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Bye.